Okay, so we go to the super cold area again. I was how frustrated you were earlier. Really tell me to let you know that you can end the playthrough at the end of the second arc if you really don't want to continue. No, I'm freaking beating this. The only time that I freaking leave a playthrough hanging is when there's like no fun to be had with like a game whatsoever. I do still have fun with this game here and there. I do get frustrated sometimes. I do definitely very much get frustrated sometimes. But I don't hate this game. I'll end a playthrough early if, like, I just cannot get behind anything it has to offer. Like, freaking Roller Coaster Tycoon World. The whole reason I started streaming that was because that game was awful, though. And, well, I literally got to a point where I literally couldn't progress anymore because it was such a poorly designed game that despite my best efforts, I literally could not make progress. It was literally bugged. Anybody cares about that can just watch the final episode of my Roller Coaster Tycoon World playthrough. That might never continue. But there have also been like other cases, like for example when Monster Hunter Double Cross came out on the Switch. I picked it up and was like, oh, let's try this out and whatnot. And I just like really couldn't get into it at all. Like there was about 4 episodes, and in terms of like my playthroughs, especially from before my channel started taking off, it was like one of the most kind of recognized playthroughs that I had done. Was a thing. So like, you know, it was a thing that a lot of people were seeing because a lot of people wanted to see, you know, somebody blind go into Monster Hunter Double Cross, I guess, or whatever the heck it was called. So I think it's here, right? I believe. But I just really could not get into that at all. Like I just wasn't having fun. Was the thing. Get away from me! Get away. Whoa, you. Ooh, there's a new. Wait, there's a new battle theme. Maybe we'll play this out.
Is that it?
Oh? I can get behind his music, though. I can get behind his music. Let me tell you that. Can definitely do that. But yeah, there have been very few playthroughs that have been done on the channel that have just like, you know, not gone all the way through to the end. One is Roller Coaster Tycoon World. One is Monster Hunter Double Cross. Are there other ones? There's probably some other ones, but those are the only 2 that I can think of when I think of like playthroughs on this channel that weren't properly finished.
Doesn't all that fighting ever make you tired, Yuri?
Nah, I've got you here to heal me if I get hurt after all.
But getting hurt and getting tired are different. Don't you ever run out of energy?
I'd say swinging my sword gives me more energy rather than taking it away.
You're like an over-energetic kid who runs around until he passes out.
Of course, I've got more energy than a kid, so I can make that much more mischief.
Ah, youth. I'm out of breath with just one swing. I wish I could go back to my younger days.
Talk about pathetic.
Don't worry. Won't be long before you're in the same boat as me, kid.
I don't think that's too funny, old man.
Well, until then, you can just sit and suffer in admiration of my youthful energy.
That's the first time I've ever heard of someone suffering in admiration.
You know, gosh darn it. Freaking Raven saying he wishes he could go back to his younger days and whatnot. I'm only 22 myself, but sometimes I wish I could go back to like my younger days of like late teens to before I got an injury in my left wrist and right hip that really started hindering me in, gosh darn it. I pressed Y to use the ring, but it did the map and stuff. And whoa, it's showing health bars here now. What button do I, because we saw that with like fighting against Estelle as well. What button do I hit that makes the health bars show up? I must be doing something. But yeah, so it's like, it's also really weird. When I was going into physiotherapy for like, come on, when I was going into physiotherapy for like half a year, it was,
Don't get careless.
oh, maybe it's just because they're analyzed? I don't know. It's like, it's not showing up for this bird. When I was going into physiotherapy for like half a year, it was kind of a semi-strange environment for me because, you know, basically everybody there who needed like the treatment of physiotherapy was, it just suddenly cuts to black. Wow. Everybody there that was there and needed the treatment was, oh, is stuff melting here? Was like middle-aged to older kind of people there. I think in the 6 months that I was going into physiotherapy there, I only saw like maybe one other person very briefly that seemed like they were around my age range. Do I have to go in from the other side? Or something like that? So it's like, I'm not even old, but,
right for the enemies, don't you?
you know.
Yes, you never hesitate at all.
You're a juggernaut.
Huh? What does that mean, Yuri?
It means she charges like a boar.
A juggernaut means something that has so much inertia that it can't be stopped or redirected.
Huh. Hey! Judith's gone!
Sorry, I'm back now.
Where did you go, Judith?
Oh, I thought I saw something. Seems like it wasn't a monster after all.
That instinct of yours to attack anything that moves reminds me of a wolf.
But it's also quicker on the other side. I'll probably just go to the other side, I guess. I think that if I went the top round way away, I would be able to do that. But yeah, I mean, I do find this game frustrating from time to time, but it shouldn't be so much so that I, can't, get through it and whatnot. But yeah, I didn't know you did a playthrough of Monster Hunter. I tried. I own it on my Switch. Is the thing. Whoa, don't. And it was the only Monster Hunter game I'd ever played. And I knew that it was supposed to be like some big kind of title that was releasing on the Switch there. Like it was some game that was like real. I think it started out as a 3DS game, that one. And it was like known to be really good. So I was looking forward to trying it out, but I just like couldn't really get into it at all myself. It was one of those situations where it's like, okay, I see why people like this, but it's just really not my kind of game. That's kind of what's going on with like Tales of Vesperia, where it's like I very clearly see why people really like this, but it might not be my kind of game per se. Not as much as Monster Hunter. Like I can get behind this more so than the thingamabob going on with Monster Hunter. But yeah, those are both cases of that. But yeah, when it comes to the wishing to go back to younger days and whatnot, as I was saying there, I'm not even old. I'm 22, I'm still like, a young adult and whatnot, but, I wish I could go back to my times, like, before being freaking injured, but I wish I could do, okay, it looks like I can land here, before being stuck in physiotherapy for half a year, and then COVID coming and getting me out of shape, like, I don't know if my injuries are gone, because, like, during COVID times, I haven't had to, like, really exert myself a whole lot, so I can just cross my fingers that my injuries are gone, but I don't know for sure. I will be going back to like Taekwondo stuff here in the near future. And if my injuries resurface, then, my right hip and left wrist might just wind up being things that are screwed for life. I don't even know. At least I'm right-handed rather than left-handed, so it could have been worse. It could have been my right hand, I guess, but
I'm going to use the energy to make an air converter.
An air converter?
My plan is to efficiently convert the air into matter, decreasing the overall amount of air. But for that, it's ideal to have the converter use energy similar to both air and matter.
What? Air isn't a type of matter? I guess it's like energy then. Which I guess makes sense.
Different from air?
I guess I should have freaking, realized that before, and I just like forgot for a hot second. I was under the impression that it was like a physical kind of form of fuel, kind of like gasoline.
Elementally separated
Almost
air
in a way.
transitions into matter in stages
Except
and eventually becomes stable.
Except it existed in like a gaseous form in like the air in this world.
I'm going
Is
to
what my
stop
impression
the
was.
transition between the two states and develop a converter.
But apparently
formula.
it's just energy.
So it won't be air or matter?
It's a state that's closer to matter than to air, but it's still not quite matter. We call it mana.
Mana. To think that one short utterance could hold more gravity than the light used to lure fish out of the frigid sea at night.
It actually has a really long, complicated name, but mana's good enough. But it'll still be less stable than actual matter, so we'll need something to act as a core.
The Epithea.
And a lot of air and Estelle's power to recombine the formula.
Using my power without the control formula will unbalance the air. It'll just flood out again.
But we can't just sit here and ignore that thing. And
Yeah?
it's a bet I'm willing to take.
I guess I should be the one trying to stop you, but I'm game to get in on this bet too.
I'll wager 1 billion gold on that.
The theory is correct. It'll be okay. I'll return this 1 billion gold to you many times over.
Oh, truly now?
Yep. Come on, let's head to the Air Crene.
So I guess this was the side that I was supposed to enter after all.
Why did Yuri fall at Zod anyway?
The core was
Because of a
falling, so I
beach?
couldn't see very well. Did he slip?
Dear, what a clumsy lad.
He wouldn't be able to do much about Alexei.
It was pretty hot, so maybe he just wanted to take a refreshing dip.
I returning to the embrace of Mother Ocean? That's not like the boy at all.
Still, imagining it makes me want to crack up a bit.
But yeah, still hope those injuries get better for you. I appreciate that, Guzma. I appreciate that. Like, the left wrist thing was starting to come back a little bit during COVID times, but it has been feeling a bit better lately. So maybe it's starting to go away. All I know is I don't know exactly what's wrong with my wrist. All I know is that it's not a problem with a bone, because I had an x-ray done and the bones look fine. Like, my doctor and my physiotherapist both think that it's an issue with ligaments, which apparently, gosh darn it, could take a very, very long time to heal. But, like, it's been 2 years now. It's literally been freaking maybe 2.5 years now. So, like, maybe more than that, because I guess my problems were acting up for a while. It was only, like, as of about 2 years ago that I started doing something about it, I guess. So, a few years now. But yeah.
Thinking of a converter
And yeah, I
for
see
air.
the thing where Bob's first suggesting trying Mystic Arts. I could. I don't know if I limit things all the way up. I do have limit bottles and, like,
That's
yeah,
our genius mage girl.
try it
Rita.
at some point
Yep,
here.
Yep.
Well, I had a hint to go off of.
Come to think of it, you did say you'd investigated Zod, didn't you?
Despite its amazing size, it wasn't running off of air, even though it was a barrier blastia to protect the entire world.
A barrier blastia? Oh yeah, they were protecting the world from the Autophagos.
You mean to say
Why
it's been there
is
for a
Patty's hair
millennia?
going crazy?
It's as
Oh.
dogged as a philosophizing anemone.
Same goes for the Autophagos.
Anemone.
It's been clinging to
Anemone.
that barrier
I
for
just think of
as
that
long.
scene from Finding Nemo.
Alexei seemed to believe Zod was a weapon, but he couldn't have been more mistaken.
But the runaway air was the cause for the Autophagos awakening, wasn't it? Ah, so that's why they would use a barrier running on power other than air.
But then, what sort of power was it using?
The children of the full moon, perhaps?
It was actually energy taken straight from them.
What audio hiccup?
Inside that giant core, it continued to power Zod as a virtually perpetual formula. Most likely, the energy was taken in exchange for their lives.
The light of life was extinguished from the children of the full moon.
So that's what Miorso's legend meant.
According to Duke, they did it of their own free will. They wanted to save the world.
The love the children of the full moon bore for this world is what created the barrier.
The power of love. Makes you want to cry.
They sacrificed themselves for the world. The children of the full moon were protecting us the entire time.
Well, hello, Reggie Bump. Hope you are having a good morning so far and whatnot. But yeah, haven't been able to go to your physiotherapy yet. Well, if I had to guess, I assume that Reggie Bump is somewhere EU times, but what the hell are you? And when it comes to oh, come on! When it comes to physiotherapy, I haven't tried to go back yet. I'm gonna, like, I know that it is open for, like, those who need it, because, like, if you get injured, like, what are you gonna do? But I'm waiting for, like, 2 things. One, I'm gonna wait until, like, freaking the COVID restrictions get lifted, which is supposed to be in, like, a week and a half from now, I believe. I think it's starting next month. So July here. I believe it's starting in July that our provincial restrictions on, like, lockdowns and whatnot are going to be lifted. I don't have both my doses of the vaccine yet. I just have my first dose, since, like, things have been really slow here. It'll probably be somewhere around just before my next uni semester starts, around, like, September/August-ish, that I'd probably be able to get my second dose. We'll see how things work out in terms of how the province rolls stuff out and whatnot. And the other reason that I haven't gone is my injuries were typically the kinds of things that would only really act up when, like, I was exerting myself, like in, say, Taekwondo and whatnot. And with COVID-19 and whatnot, with the lockdowns, I haven't been able to go to Taekwondo now for a good while. Because, like, I haven't noticed problems with my right hip for a very long time. It was typically when I was doing, stuff that was, like, very, very spicy to do. Like, for example, my breaking that I need to do for 3rd degree black belt is one where I need to do 3 kicks in the air, 2 to the side, and then a 3rd one in the air. It's part of my channel trailer. Anybody that goes to my freaking YouTube or Twitch and looks at my channel trailer, that's what the clip is doing that. And I'd have it act up during that sometimes. And also just generally exerting myself. Like, I would be training in Taekwondo, and then my right hip would just start to be like filled with pain, and I'd have to like step out to the side of class and like do some stretching and swing my hip out a little bit to like get it to ease up, and then I'd be able to step back into class again. But it's the kind of thing that doesn't really bother me in daily life, and I haven't had bother me now for about probably a year and a half with the whole like lockdowns and whatnot. So I think that issue with my hip is going to come down to once I do start getting back into training again, once like the stuff starts lifted, I'll see what happens with that. And the wrist is a weird situation where how when my wrist gets into pain is when I'm bending it backwards like that, and that's the kind of thing that's not really going to happen in daily life a whole lot, thankfully. So when I would have it flare up in pain in like Taekwondo is if I'm doing like certain self-defense maneuvers, or if I'm doing like push-ups or something like that. So for the past maybe 2.5 years now, I would very rarely ever do push-ups like that. I would do knuckle push-ups, and now it's at the point where like those are easier and more comfortable for me than regular push-ups. It's because that's like the only way that I'm freaking used to doing them. Because with knuckle push-ups, the wrist is straight. With the regular ones, it's bent back like that. So in daily life, I don't have to worry about it too much. It's just like if somebody wants help like pushing something really heavy, I gotta be careful maybe not to do that. Maybe do something like this to push whatever it is. Or if I go to like push open a heavy door, sometimes I'll like if I'm out at like some building, not like a door in like a household. Household regular doors aren't that heavy, but like some big building's door, if I go to open it and use my left wrist instead of my right, I can do that and be like, why did I do that, you know? But for the first like most of a year in lockdown, it was going away, like all the pain that I'd experienced, but again, I wasn't bending it back, so I didn't really know. But then since about the beginning of this year-ish, I started getting some discomfort in it, like it wasn't in pain, but it just felt like something wasn't quite lined up right, and it was like something was a little bit out of place or something like that. Like it didn't quite feel right, and there were some times that it was feeling in pain, like just normally. Like part of the reason for that could be because like I don't know how it started, but from like moving my wrists around here and there, it started cracking when being bent like that, the opposite direction of the way that it hurts. And for a while there, the freaking cracking it like that, I used to freaking do that, and it would crack, and it would feel a lot better. I'd be like, wow, that's making it feel like way better. Maybe that's finally the solution. But then it started then it started hurting in just like regular daily life. So for the past month now, I've tried to get out of the habit of cracking it backwards like that. And I don't really do that anymore. I don't even know if it's capable of cracking backwards anymore since I've like avoided doing it for so long. Like if I do that, it's not gonna, actually it did crack there slightly. But it generally doesn't really do that anymore. And the pain has started going away, so maybe that has been helping, avoiding doing that. But I only even started cracking it that way like half a year ago, when it just, I don't even know how it started. But it's been a weird situation. A whole bunch of like updated info there, I guess, to like bring to my physiotherapist if it starts coming up again. But you know, it's a bit of a strange situation, but I guess, like, it could be so much worse. Like, the kind of injury that I have is just, like, a small thing where it's, like, it's not going to hold me back from doing, like, daily stuff. It's just something that's gonna be, like, an annoyance and, like, a pain on the side. It's not gonna be the kind of thing where it's, like, my life is crippled now or anything like that. So, I guess you could say that I got off lucky from what it could have been. But, you know, again, when I was going to physiotherapy for half a year, I was, like, one of, if not the youngest person that I ever saw there. Everybody else is like middle-aged or older and like suffering from joint problems from there, and I'm the freaking, at the time, like 20 to 21-year-old or whatnot that's freaking in there for an injury and whatnot. But yeah, I found a pattern that as soon as lockdowns lifted, COVID cases go up. Yeah, and that could well happen here. I do wonder if it's a bit too early because like doses for the vaccine have been getting out like very slowly here. I have my first dose, I don't have my second, as I was mentioning before, and we'll see what happens. Ask them if they recommend icy hot patches, see if it might help with relief from the pain with the say patches, but you mean pads. I know that I go to the same physiotherapy place as my dad because he has joint issues. He worked in HVAC for a long time, so like he was working on furnaces and whatnot and that kind of thing, and ventilation, all that fun stuff. And he spent a lot of time on, like, if you go to like a furnace room in a house, in most houses there's going to be like hard concrete like right around the furnace and all that stuff, and for a long time he would be on his knees just on the hard concrete without any pads, and he royally screwed up his knees to the point where he needs like surgery on them to get like replacements and whatnot, and is like at his age, like freaking mid-50s already, walking with a cane and whatnot because his freaking knees are so screwed up and he's getting all this stuff done. Like, not always with a cane, but like basically he's all screwed up with the knees and whatnot. So we both go to the same physiotherapy place, and he has a few things for like his joints that he's recommended me to try out before, and I haven't tried them before. He has some weird vibration thingamabob that he attaches to a bunch of joints. He does have like an ice pad. Like, sometimes if we're in the living room, he'll freaking set himself up at this chair that he got specially to like, especially with this remote that like stands up and goes back to like help with his joints and whatnot. And he has this machine by it. This is just like an ice machine that'll dump ice into, and he'll like attach his pad around his knee and whatnot. And apparently that does something or other. So that's a thing that he has. I don't think I've never tried that before, but that's a thing that we have because of that I could always try on like my wrist or like my hip or something, I guess, if need be. Yeah, my wrist, it's like it doesn't hurt right now, but it feels like out of place. Like it feels slightly uncomfortable, like it's like things aren't quite aligned right, but it doesn't hurt. It's weird. It's a strange thing to describe. And something else that we have, in the patio room that's out back, I believe it was 2 years ago, we wound up actually getting a hot tub back there, interestingly enough, and it's one that's apparently meant to be like a physiotherapy kind of tub that's meant to help with like joints and whatnot and like promote healing for those who have like problems with that kind of thing. So like we originally got it for my dad with him like recovering from all the things with his knees and whatnot, but it also inadvertently winds up helping with me. So from time to time I do try to go in there and whatnot and, you know, help that to relax the joints. If the problems start coming back once I start getting more active in Taekwondo again, we'll see what happens, and I'll probably try to like go in that tub more because it can very much help with the joints and whatnot. So yeah, does it normally happen with everyone that takes Taekwondo class, or well, those who start going towards the more advanced stuff? I don't believe so. My left wrist problems, I don't know exactly what caused. I have no idea what caused my right hip stuff. I know that my left wrist started having pain shortly after there was somebody, I don't know who it was doing like knife self-defense with me. And typically when you're doing things to like take down your kind of practice partner by like turning a joint some kind of way and then like forcing them down, you're supposed to do it slowly so you don't actually injure them. And I had somebody that did it like really, really fast and freaking slammed me down to the ground. And I remember like hearing a big crack in my left wrist. And I don't know if that's it. I don't know if that's what happened. Like a crack would imply something with the bones. And again, I've had an x-ray and there's nothing wrong with the bones apparently. So I don't know if that was it. But I mentioned it to my doctor, my physiotherapist, and they were saying like, yeah, that could have like led to that was the thing. Like, it's not super uncommon for Taekwondo students to potentially have joint issues just from how much they're like freaking kicking all the time, like, so probably like leg things and whatnot. But you know, I wouldn't really know if it's a super common thing. Like the kind of thing that was happening with me with my wrist and right hip is probably not a super common kind of thing. Like I don't know if my physiotherapist had ever heard of somebody that gets pain with their wrist by bending it back like that before. Like that's a weird specific kind of thing, you know. But I know that there are times that like there are like injuries that happen. I don't know about ones happening this long. But I mean, I also don't know like a lot of cases in general from my Taekwondo school because it's a really weird environment where it's like I'm one of the oldest students there. I'm not even that old. I'm freaking 22. Well, in the black belt adult class, I should clarify. You go to like the color belt adult class and there'll be plenty of like middle-aged people and stuff like that. But you go to the black belt adult class and there'll be me. There will be one person that's a good friend of mine who is around in his 30s, who I guess is like one of the few students who's older than me as like a regular there. And then pretty much everybody else is like in high school or like late junior high. And this is what's called the adult class for black belts, just because that's like the highest age range there, I guess. Because a lot of people, for whatever reason, when they get their black belt, will like quit there being like, yep, I did it. There's two big places that people quit in Taekwondo, from what I've noticed, that like train for a long time. There's people who get their black belt and quit right then and there. I have a friend that actually did that, who I went to school with for a long time and now lives in Vancouver, I believe. I should reach out to him sometime. I haven't talked to him in years. And the other big place that people quit is after high school. They're like, yep, I'm going to university or finding a job. I've got like other life stuff to pursue, and a lot of people will like quit after that. So like, I know 1 or 2 university students in my classes as well, in the adult classes, but most of the, like, there are also 1 or 2 of the university students there will only come, like, during the summer months off from university and whatnot, rather than during the actual university semesters, because they figure that they'll, like, focus on their schooling and whatnot. So, when I'm in my Taekwondo classes, most of my fellow classmates are, like, several years younger than me, is the thing. Most of the students in the black belt adult classes are freaking high schoolers, is the thing. And that's what's called the adult classes. But you go to, like, color belt adult classes, and it will be, like, a lot of full-on adults and whatnot. Can I go to the Healy save book over there? Gosh darn you. So I don't exactly know a whole lot of cases of, you know, people staying in the training as long as I have, you know? A lot of people freaking... I mean, I started training when I was 4. I'm 22 now. So I've technically been in Taekwondo for, like, 18 years. That is a weird thought. That is a very weird thought. I did not want to jump there. So, yeah, a lot of people do quit somewhere along the way. Whoa! 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 My goodness. So, I know that there is stuff that can come up from time to time. Like, where is my wrap? Where's my orange wrap? I had this, like, wrap that I would sometimes put around my left wrist to, like, keep it stabilized and in place when I was exerting myself. And that wrap that I have, which I've probably had on stream before, even, like, stuff from a couple of years ago. Go watch, like, my freaking Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky playthrough, and you'll see an orange wrap on my wrist that I still have around here somewhere. That was from the head instructor of the school. I was mentioning my wrist problems to him before I even went into physiotherapy, and he gave me that wrap that was apparently one for him when he had gotten, like, joint issues in the past, and eventually he just told me to, like, keep the wrap, and that's what I've had for a couple of years now that I use from time to time, if I'm worried that I'm gonna exert myself and I want something to, like, stabilize my wrist. So, like, you know, there are cases where it's like, you know, stuff can come up from time to time for people that are training, especially when they're doing a whole bunch of freaking stuff with, like, punching and kicking and all that stuff. It's not, like, a super uncommon thing for stuff to come up. Like, since, you know, the wrap that I have is literally a used one from the head instructor of the school, for example, the one that he used to use. But, you know, I don't think I've heard of cases of, like, specifically what I have that's, like, a thing that I don't even know how to describe, that's, like, such a weird case with my joints. Like, I don't know what was going on with my right hip. I just know that exerting myself with a lot of kicking, especially, like, high stuff, would start making it, like, flare up in pain. I need to go stretch it out and swing it out to, make it start feeling better again here and there, and even then it would only make it feel a little bit better and not even make it feel normal again. And with the wrist, it's like the weird thing where it's like it feels out of place, not necessarily in pain, but just out of place. Or it would start flaring up in pain if I bend it back like that and put pressure on it. So, like, I mean, sometimes if I'm, like, leaning or I press down on, like, a table or something like that, I'm leaning. Like, if I bend it back like that, this does hurt, for example. Like, if I do start putting pressure onto something, like, this will hurt. Even just holding it back like that and forcing it back will hurt it a bit. And it feels like something is moving at, like, the top part of it. It's strange. But yeah. Adult now in training years? Yeah, basically. I mean, BRB already, Reggie Bump. I mean, what they classify as adults there for the adult class is already freaking, you know, high school students. Since, like, go to my school and you go to, like, black belt adult classes and it'll be a bunch of high schoolers, essentially. It'll be a bunch of high schoolers, 1 or 2 university students, and probably, like, 1 actual adult is what it'll be. 1 person that's actually, like, 30 plus, if that's what you want to call that, I guess. I should rephrase about that. We have I found a bunch of more crazy stuff with that game. Earlier today, never knew before. Should I? End up trying to take one of yourself. There's no guarantee you wouldn't have joint issues too then. This is something that developed from me after training for, like, 16 years. Because it was, like, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. So, like, 15 years. So, like, a decade and a half of training is when issues started arising for me, was the thing. And even then, it was stuff that I hadn't heard of, like, anybody else in the class having, like, the same kind of stuff. Again, most of the cases that I know of those in my class are, like, those who, like, quit before then. Or they quit at, like, their black belt, or they quit, like, after high school. So I don't exactly have, like, a lot of sample data to, like, say that. But, like, I don't think that... I think that my stuff is, like, weird specific things that you're not going to see a lot of people have. I mean, my family also has, like, a little bit of a history of joint issues
or is the
and
ground
whatnot.
around here changing?
It's because they're ice drifts. They move on the water and change how the ground looks.
Wait, so if we don't get out of here soon, the path could shift and leave us stranded?
It's certainly possible.
Yeah, but then we could use a block of ice to float merrily across the sea.
Yeah, you do that, old man.
I'm not kidding. Stick with me. It'll be fun.
I'm not cut out for fun.
Oh, all right. I don't want to be stuck on top of a block of ice with a spoil sport anyway. Let's go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm also maybe a little bit more susceptible to something like that because, you know, I basically have a family with joint issues. Like, talking to some of my cousins about this recently, they were saying that some of them can't even sit cross-legged, for example. Like, it is in my family that, you know, there's some joint issues. And I have very long bones as well, is the thing. Like, I'm tall. I'm 6'2". And, like, some of my bones seem a little bit longer than they should be. Like, my rib cage, for example. I've had some people, like, if I'm not wearing a shirt, I've had some people ask me about, like, my rib cage before that seems to go, like, in a decent bit more than, like, one would normally see. So it creates, like, an almost, like, divot in my chest there. And for that reason, my parents were actually getting me tested for something called Marfan syndrome for a little while because they were worried that I might have that. Turns out I don't. I do not have that, apparently. But, like, I'm long is the thing, you know? So, like, with that comes joint issues. Welcome to tall privilege, I guess. Let's see this. I've rambled long enough.
That monster's not gonna show up again, right?
If it does, you'll beat it up for us just like the last time, right?
You're mean.
Okay, I'm ready. Estelle, come over here. Now, I'll release the control formula. Once I do that, the air crene will react to you and produce more air. I want you to recompose the air formula into a stable formula closer to mana.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Okay. The water element is strong here, so imagine flowing water and let your body flow with the air. The theory behind materializing air is the same as performing magic. If Estelle can recompose the air into a state close to mana, then I should be able to guide the air into the Cyanoceal.
Can we do anything?
No. Go take a nap or something.
No.
We'd freeze to death if we took a nap here.
We're pretty handy, you know. We can cook or fish or anything you want. Just tell us what to do.
I wouldn't say anything.
We can use the conversion formula we found in Zaude.
That was for substituting life for air. Your life! You can't do that!
But if this fails, then we'll all be swallowed up by a flood of air. We'll be dead anyway, right?
We're all risking our lives. Let us help.
All right. I'll use your life energy to guide the air into the Cyanoceal. If we do that, I think Estelle will understand the flow of the air without interference from me.
All right, everyone. Let's do this.
Sure. Why not?
Ready, Estelle? Here we go. Everyone, come over here. Go ahead. Try and synchronize yourself with my formula. There, that's good.
What the hell is this? Anyway, hold on, let's catch up on some stuff here. It's only been 5'9" for the past few years. I haven't changed an inch. Always thought you continue to grow taller, but guess not. This is certainly something here. Yeah, when I was growing up, like through grade school and whatnot, like I was a pretty average height and whatnot. There were some like really tall kiddos, but I was a pretty average height. But then nowadays, I'm freaking like one of the tallest people I know. Like, my goodness, things changed there. The tallest person in elementary school now is like eye level over me. Like, I'm freaking 6'2" now, and I've seen the person that was the tallest in elementary school, who goes to my same university. I met with him on campus once, and he's like eye level above my head, which is, you know, crazy to see. But like, you know, I've got long joints that sometimes give me issues, but that always means that I need to, like, you know, be all over the place with my lankiness here, you know? Like, sometimes lately I've been playing games like this with my knees up there because it's helping me be more comfortable, I guess. About Air Master, huh? Air conducted by Rito will flow from right to left and on the top line in color. Press the button AB. Is this a rhythm thing? Corresponds to the color of the air at the correct timing when it overlaps Estelle's force field represented by the blue mark to reconstitute it. The button is not pressed at the correct timing. Air will leak, so beware. Gauge on the right represents the amount of mana collected. Collect the specified amount to clear the gate. Oh, okay. But yeah, I'm freaking constantly, like, adjusting myself to, like, not be still in any one way too long. Like, there's a lot of times where I'll just, like, be in a chair and I'll put, like, one knee up, maybe like that. Sometimes I'll put up both and, like, do this at my desk and whatnot. I'm freaking all over the place. Yeah, so a mini game, I guess. Sure. Here we go. Okay. This is so dumb. What the hell is this? Welcome back, Reggie Bump. This is so stupid. Why does this need a game? Why can't it just be a freaking cutscene? This is literally stupid. This is so dumb. Little audio hiccup there. Like, it's not even a rhythm thing. It's not even to the music or anything like that. It's just dumb. Why? So the thing is almost full. Like that. Successfully reconstitute air. I was about to say, is the whole challenge gonna be like stopping when...
The air is collecting in the cyanocell. The formula's
okay.
working. The force field is stable. It's gonna be okay.
Why introduce a new thing and such a whack thing that isn't even fun? Just for like one thing, you know? Yeah, it's Sharik, in case you didn't know.
Did it not work?
No, it's still under control, but what is this? Formula for reshaping the apatheia. It's reformulating itself.
Inigo Montoya, you killed my father.
That voice.
Prepare to die.
Bellius?
Oh, mind.
Yes, it is I, Bellius. Or rather, I was once Bellius, but no more.
What's going on here?
Could the will of Bellius trapped in the apatheia have... Amazing.
I feel the waters of the world at my command. I am the ruler of the waters.
Okay, so did it work?
It's gone way beyond working. I never thought it would gain a will of its own.
Nature's mysteries will forever transcend the limited scope of our imagination.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on this one.
Humans? What creature am I? Though no longer Bellius the Intellicheia, you have granted life to me. I ask that you give me a name.
A being that controls the essence of a material. Maybe you're a spirit.
And so my name shall be...
The Splishy Splashy Watercolored Queen!
An ancient word for the ruler of the waters. How about Undine?
Undine. Henceforth, I shall be known as the Spirit Undine. Ah, I feel the power swell within me. Such is the benefit of the air which you saw fit to gather for me.
It wasn't any cakewalk either.
Receive this now as token of my thanks.
I just happen to have this. Take this as a token of my thanks. Death Contrast +2 Alpha. Dark Avenger +1. And then Moonstar.
We need to get the world's air under control. Please lend us your power.
Very well. However, my powers alone will be insufficient.
Huh?
I control only the waters. You must gather those who rule the other elements as well.
What?
The elements of earth, water, wind, and fire. We need at least 3 more.
Oh man.
We'll need help from the other Entelekea, won't we?
There are very few Entelekea left. Pharaoh, Gusios,
And Baul.
not Baul. He hasn't taken in enough air to create an apatheia. And on top of that, I won't allow it.
Undine, do you have any ideas?
The shining forest of Arialumen and Reloise, the root of the world. Your friend Baul should know the location of these places.
As if it's not gonna show me any objective marker. He doesn't know shit. See ya.
She disappeared.
No, she is here. I feel her.
It seems like the air Krene has quieted down too, even though we're not controlling Estelle's power.
Really? So, Undine is controlling Estelle's power?
You mean Estelle is really free?
Yes. Yes!
That's great, Estelle.
Well, things are sure taking a turn for the strange.
Yeah, I never would have dreamed any of this would happen. But we finally see the light at the end.
It's a pinprick, but as welcome as the rays of sun that pierce into the ocean's depths.
The titles really take out of the moment, don't they? Well, also, hello Raveny, how's it going today? Welcome to whatever's going on here. But yeah, you're gonna have to use a guide to find out the locations of where to land. So what you're telling me here is Baul doesn't know shit. Is how to interpret this.
Happy.
So do you, Yuri.
There's no longer anything shackling Estelle. She can use her power without causing any harm to herself or unbalancing the air. So yeah, I'm happy.
Estelle's really free!
There's no guarantee she won't overdo things again, though.
We'll just watch her closely. If we don't, she might go back to healing people till she keels over.
Well, Baul can't talk, that's the only issue, but he'd still presumably be able to fly us to where we need to go, right? Like, logically, if it wasn't a video game, he'd be able to fly us himself to wherever we need to go, right? Or something. Hi, how go things? Welcome to I have no idea what I'm doing the video game, essentially. Is what it, is what things feel like here. Alright, so I guess we're done coming here. I'm tempted to get that chest, but I'm not going.